And privilege, the way it is defined, it's not the benefits that you get, to be honest. It's the lack of obstacles, just because the society kind of functions aligned to how you are.
I think there are ways to work around it, but this is really, I mean, this is the reality, right? This is the population that exists. So we work with what's available and we work around it, is what we're constantly trying to do. And we understand it's not easy, but we've learned that sometimes it's these training programs, sometimes it's internships, sometimes it's you find the person, but they just don't meet the criteria. So we're constantly working around it itself.
So when the leaders are aligned and the leaders speak the one language and the leaders are driving it in their respective functions, the leaders consciously make job descriptions that are DEI enabled. Automatically, the recruitment team will support. Automatically, the HR team will support for all activities, transitions. Yes.
One is it has to be intentional, right? You have to have, and I'm going to put out a controversial opinion, is you have to have a target. Otherwise, you're not being able to push yourself, right? You have to have a target of hiring people. Second, I personally, in my previous job, I had failed the aptitude test. I was not out back then, right? Not as a trans person. I had applied with my cisgender heterosexual identity, and I failed the aptitude, but my manager gave me an opportunity to interview. And he liked me, he hired me. I had no experience of hospitality. It was a job in hospitality domain. I spent 6 years in that organization. I got promoted 5 times with no prior experience or the required skill set to work in hospitality, right? So, and when I asked him about it, he said, me, when I hire people, personally, I don't care for the skill set, I care for the attitude. Because skill is something that can be taught and learned. Attitude is not, right? But to get into the system, you need an opportunity. That is where the doors are closed right now.
Starting point is actually fear. And I would probably break that down into two pieces. A, there is a fear from a concept perspective, because there's a fear of the unknown. You're getting into uncharted territory. You're not sure how people will receive this. We are all extremely aware and conscious of the world around us. We are aware of the strong polarized reactions that people seem to have nowadays. And, we are all managing delicate ecosystems within the organization. So you don't want to upset the ecosystem too much, but you also want to bring about change. And I think that's where the culture conversation that we just had right now makes a lot of difference. And traditional FMCG organization, very progressive in its values and so on, and yet without a single woman in their entire sales field force. And I kept asking this question to people. And everyone seemed very aligned to the idea. And yet no one went and executed it, right? People could keep coming back to me and saying security is an issue. Women are not ready. We don't know where to find the right women, and so on. All it needed was one champion who took that change management effort up, and one sales manager in the western part of India who came and said, I'm going to work with you on this. And we recruited women from all sorts of backgrounds. And, Tanvi said this earlier, skills can be taught, right? And how difficult it is to teach someone how to sell and do the sales round. So we got people from stores, women who were working in, as petrol pump attendants and all of that. And then we got them together, trained them, got them on, and there was this, they had a burning passion to prove themselves. And I've seen that constantly. Whenever you bring people from marginalized communities into the mainstream, there's a burning desire to prove themselves. They outshone all other sales teams within the quarter.
The same question was asked for women a decade ago, saying, why should we do something for women? There are no women in the workforce. They were all homemakers, so on and so forth. But in the decade or so, so much has changed. Now we are talking about 50-50, like male and female. 50-50 is a conversation. Now that conversation has moved to women in leadership. So you see in a decade how much of it has changed. So, and 2011 census, right, Nilan, that was 4.9 lakh transgender people. Now, 10 years later, do you think it is still 4.9 lakhs of transgender people in this country? Can you multiply that number by whatever you want to multiply it with? Because for somehow I have not found the new census, but I'm sure that number is somewhere in the millions. There are millions of people, trans people out there in corporate. In my own workspace, within 2 buildings of 8,000, 10,000 people, I'm the only trans person. So your question is valid in a corporate space, maybe not in general. You are never going to have perfect policies. But people, when you bring people in, they can help you with the policies because you have first-hand experience now. Right?
Create mini forums of people that you specifically want to help. So I'll give you, again, I'm taking examples from other places. But for example, first-time managers, people who've become managers for the first time and are struggling with the demands of being a people manager for the first time. You create a forum so that A, they help each other, and 2, they also push each other a little bit to ask for help as needed. I have seen that. We did that for the first group that we hired, from the transgender community, and we got people together because then they can become each other's support system.
Let's not think about ROI much. Let's think about the long-term impact that will be beneficial.